Hello and welcome to this week's TAL update. The Texas legislature will begin meeting in January. They meet every 2 years in odd-numbered years. We are just weeks away. In preparation for the session, the Senate State Affairs Committee held a hearing this week. I was one of 3 invited witnesses asked to testify on proposed pro-life legislation. I made 3 points to the committee. First, over the decades, the legislature has passed an enormous number of pro-life bills that are doing tremendous good to protect unborn babies and to promote compassionate alternatives to abortion. Second, the Supreme Court's precedent under Roe v. Wade prevents states from banning abortions on non-viable babies, babies who are not capable of surviving after birth. Dozens of states have passed bans on abortion prior to viability, but virtually none is saving lives. The federal and state courts have blocked their enforcement. Third, the best bill the legislature can pass is a Human Life Protection Act, a complete ban on abortion beginning at fertilization that goes into effect when the Supreme Court overturns Roe. Texas is a national leader in passing pro-life laws. Let me mention a few. Those include parental notice and consent for abortions on minor girls, the Prenatal Protection Personhood Act, the Woman's Right to Know and Sonogram Informed Consent laws, bans on abortions after 20 weeks, licensing and safety standards at abortion facilities, protections at abortion facilities for victims of sex trafficking, bans on partial birth abortion and trafficking of baby body parts, protections for babies born alive after abortion, bans on telemed abortions, funding for compassionate alternatives to abortion, including adoption, and defunding Planned Parenthood. There are many, many more. The complete list is 10 pages of single-space type. The results have been spectacular. Just since 2010, when there were 77,000 abortions in Texas, abortions have plummeted to 52,000 per year, a drop of 25,000 annual abortions. However, the hands of the Texas legislature are tied by the Supreme Court. Since the 1973 Roe v. Wade and 1992 Planned Parenthood v. Casey Supreme Court decisions, the reality is that a state's ability to ban or even regulate abortion is extremely limited. Under current Supreme Court precedent, the legislature can protect unborn babies who have developed enough to be viable, when the baby can live outside the womb if born alive. But the legislature cannot protect babies who are not viable. That is the terrible and tragic reality. In Casey, the court declared, before viability, the state's interests are not strong enough to support a prohibition of abortion or the imposition of a substantial obstacle to the woman's effective right to elect the procedure. Viability is not a fixed date for all pregnancies. It varies for each child and for the medical institution where the birth may occur. We are hearing of viability at 23 weeks gestation and sometimes even at 22 weeks. For some unborn babies, however, with severe fetal abnormalities, viability never occurs because the terminal illness is too great for the baby to survive to birth, during birth, or afterward. Hence, Texas may not ban the abortion of a non-viable child. Texas may regulate abortion before viability, but only to advance the health of the mother and to protect the life of the child, but not such that there is a substantial obstacle to abortion, also called the undue burden. Generally, of the numerous state pre-viability bans, virtually none that have been challenged in federal or state courts has survived that challenge. They are, unfortunately, saving no lives. For example, 10 states have passed bans on abortions when the heartbeat is detected. None of those laws has gone into effect, generally because they have been blocked by the courts. None are saving babies' lives. Courts have ordered some states to pay the plaintiff's attorney's fees, which can be substantial amounts, thus funding the abortion industry. Those fees can be in the millions of dollars. Do we want to use tax dollars to make the abortion industry stronger? Potentially, many of these state statutes already passed could be the vehicle the court uses to revisit Roe and Casey. There is no need to pass further laws to challenge Roe. We are hopeful, but not certain, that the Supreme Court may be willing to take a fresh look at Roe and Casey, unencumbered by precedent, and give legislators more latitude to protect unborn children before viability. We have been told that there are as many as 60 cases related to the constitutionality of state abortion bans and regulations in the pipeline. The court could take up any of these as a vehicle to revisit Roe and Casey. With this in mind, our top priority for the Texas legislature is the passage of the Human Life Protection Act. The Human Life Protection Act is a complete ban on abortion, beginning at fertilization, that will go into effect when and to the extent the Supreme Court reverses or modifies Roe and Casey. If the Supreme Court changes its precedent and allows states to protect non-viable unborn children, Texas needs a new law to ban abortion, to the extent allowable under the new precedent. The Human Life Protection Act is that law. Similar bills were introduced in the last session in 2019 by Senator Angela Paxton and Representative Giovanni Capriglione. 10 states have passed essentially the same laws. Regardless of what the Supreme Court does in the near or distant future, the Human Life Protection Act would automatically afford the same protection to unborn babies in Texas. That's all for this week's live update. We hope to see you again next week.